What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Maya Ame'rie, and this is Cooking for Beginners with Meals by Maya, a 30-day series where I teach you everything you need to know to be the best beginner cook in 2026. And for today's episode, episode 7, we're breaking down the beginner breakfast, omelet and crispy potatoes. So let's get into the kitchen. In this episode, I'm going to be teaching beginners how to make a fluffy, delicious omelet without drying it out. I'm also going to be teaching you how to make some crispy potatoes, and I'm going to teach you how to build an omelet with just a few simple ingredients. And then right at the end, I'm going to help you understand oil to heat ratio for these type of breakfast meals. This is honestly my go-to breakfast because it's so simple, no stress, and it's delicious. For your omelet ingredients, you're going to need eggs, onions, bell pepper, your choice of protein. I'm gonna go with some chicken sausage, cheese, salt, pepper, and milk. I'm going to be using almond milk because that is my diet preference. For your crispy potatoes, all you need is Yukon Gold potatoes, some oil, some salt, some pepper, and some cayenne pepper if you like a kick. The key here is you don't need a lot of ingredients. A little goes a long way. Now that we've got all our ingredients, let's get into the kitchen and prep our add-ins. For my recipe, I'm going to dice a sweet onion and a green bell pepper. I'm making 2 omelets for this one, so I'm honestly only using a quarter of the bell pepper. If you like a lot of bell pepper, cut up as much as you'd like. When it comes to dicing your veggies, if you need a little bit of reminder on how to dice them properly, head back to episode 3, how to chop, slice, and dice. For my chicken sausage, I just popped it in the air fryer, and you can grate your own cheese, but I just went for the easy way of just getting shredded cheese. Now let's get into the potato prep. I'm going to be using 2 Yukon Gold potatoes. I like to rinse and clean my potatoes before I cut them because this is going to remove any excess starch. And the key here is that I'm dicing them in small, even pieces. Once my potatoes are all cut up, I like to coat it in that neutral oil, avocado oil. Then I coat it with cayenne pepper, salt, and black pepper. I like to do this in a container so that I can close it up and shake it up so that all the seasoning gets distributed evenly. Now I'm going to turn my stove on to medium-high heat, add a little bit more of that avocado oil, and let the pan warm for 2 minutes. Once my pan is well warmed, I will add in my potatoes. For potatoes, you always want to use that neutral oil because we're cooking on a higher heat. Olive oil would burn for this type of recipe. If you don't want to use avocado oil, you can also use canola oil or vegetable oil. I cook my potatoes for about 5 to 8 minutes on each side. You want to let them sit before you flip them because this is going to make it crispy. So the key here is to be patient. You want to flip your potatoes occasionally until they're golden or tender. For me, I do like mine a lot crispier, so I do like to get them a little brown. Now let's get into the omelet recipe. And the key here is low and slow, honey. For an omelet, it's good to use 2 to 3 eggs. And then I also season my eggs with some salt and some black pepper. I like to add in a splash of milk to my eggs because this is going to bring some fluff. When you're whisking your eggs, you can use a whisk. However, I've always been taught to use a fork. You want to flick your wrist as you're whisking your eggs, and that's going to get you a really good consistency. When you're cooking an omelet, you want to make sure that your pan is on low to medium heat. This is something that I mentioned in episode 4. So I'll start off by coating my pan with some butter, letting that melt down. Once that's melted down, I will add in my diced onion and my bell pepper and let that cook until it's translucent and soft. At this point, I'm now going to add in my cooked and sliced sausage so it can warm through with the rest of the ingredients. Once that is warm, I'm going to pour in my egg mixture. Now we're going to let our eggs set slowly. You want to let your eggs cook for about 3 to 5 minutes before you add in your cheese. I let it sit for a little bit longer and let the cheese melt. Now I'm going to fold over one side of the egg gently. If you fold over the egg and you see that your egg is very, very brown, that means the heat is too high. Once it's folded over, I like to do another minute on each side of the omelet, and then you're done. Now you know how to make an omelet and some crispy, delicious potatoes. So let's dive into some beginner mistakes so you know what to avoid when you're making breakfast this year. 1. Don't cook your eggs on high heat. 1, you're using butter. 2, it's eggs. All of those things need to be cooked on low to medium heat. Secondly, make sure that you dry the potatoes. If your potatoes are still very wet, they are going to burn a lot easier when you're trying to fry them. Another common beginner mistake is people do not season their eggs. I'm sorry. You need some salt and pepper in those eggs, honey. I've been making eggs since I was 6 years old, and I have never not put salt and pepper in my eggs. Now for your omelet, if you like to top it with some hot sauce or some ketchup, this is the time to do that. But you can leave it as is. Simple does not mean boring. It's still gonna taste delicious.
Alright y'all, now that you got breakfast down pat, in the next video I'm showing you how to make the perfect pasta.
Beginner friendly and weeknight approved, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.